I will get us started with the first question. Emma, your first Australian Open main draw, just tell us how excited you are to get out there and play.
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a very cool experience to play here in the main draw for the first time. I played a few years ago in the juniors, and coming back here, playing in the main draw so soon, I feel quite proud of this achievement. It is a bit of a different feel because back then we weren't allowed in the main area, so it's quite fun to see and look around. But yeah, looking forward to getting out there.
Okay, thank you. We'll take questions from the room. Who would like to go first? Over here.
Emma, what have you been up to since Sydney? Sort of, I know that maybe you hadn't been able to practice too much before then, so how much work have you been putting in and what have you been working on?
Yeah, it's a challenge to try and find the balance of wanting to get out there and practice so much straight after coming out of isolation. But if you overdo it with the hours, after not doing anything for 20 days, you'll start picking up small niggles. So I'm just trying to find that balance. And the first week I wasn't able to practice so much. But after Sydney, the match, it was just good for me to see where I was at that point in time. And afterwards, I went out to sharpen up a few things on the practice court, and since I'm actually feeling like there's progress. All I want to see is that I'm getting slightly better and I have a better feeling, so I think that gradually I'm getting there.
Okay, next question. Over there in the green. Yeah, that's you with the hat. Mm-hmm.
Cast your mind back 12 months ago. Could you, in your wildest dreams, imagine 12 months later you'd be heading to the Australian Open as the US Open champion? Just talk us through the last year for yourself.
No, 12 months ago was just sat in my room studying for my exams. So to be here in Australia, I was watching from afar last year, and I just feel very grateful to have this opportunity to play here, and hopefully we'll get out there and see the fans here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it because last week in Sydney I had great support also.
Okay, next question, Russell.
Emma, how different does it feel sitting there as a Grand Slam champion?
Well, I feel like because of the last few months that I've had, maybe I haven't played as much as I would have liked to and trained so much. I feel like there's actually no pressure on me. Like I feel like I'm just happy to be here and have a swing. I had to jump a few hurdles to play here, so I'm very I just want to go out there and have fun and enjoy on the court.
Okay, we'll go Kath and then Ben. Kath.
Emma, Rafa Nadal was in here earlier and he said he felt the courts were really quick this year. What's your feeling about them, and particularly in comparison to the US Open courts last year?
I think that the US Open courts are actually slicker and faster because back over there it's easier to slide, so there's less friction. So I think that here it's a bit stickier, and it depending on the temperature a lot also, because when it's a very hot and dry day it does feel very fast and flying, but the weather here is very unpredictable, so it can change a lot even over the course of a match.
Okay, we'll go to Ben and then to Marnie. Ben?
Hi, Emma. Just wanted to ask about your first round match against Sloane, what your thoughts are on that draw, and if she's someone who you remember watching win the US Open or things like that, if you have some memories of her from before you were on tour.
Yeah, I watched Sloane win the US Open, and I hit with her last year actually. It's a great opponent. Obviously, you don't win a Grand Slam without being very capable. So I think it's going to be a tough match for sure. But I'm going to go out there and enjoy the match because just playing in this Grand Slam, I had to work so hard to be here. So I'll just go out there and enjoy.
Okay, Hermione.
Netflix recently announced a new docu-series with tennis, and I know you're a big F1 fan, so I'm curious if what you thought of Drive to Survive, and I know like a lot of F1 fans are kind of protective over their sport and don't necessarily like it, so I'm curious what your perspective was on that and if you'd be interested in the tennis version, basically.
I think Drive to Survive was great for the sport because I feel like a lot of people started following F1 and got very involved. A lot of my friends who never watched it before, you know, they watched it and were suddenly following every week. So I think that's great, being great for the sport. And I enjoyed watching it personally. So this one I'm sure will be good too.
Okay, we'll take two more in the room, Aki and then over there. Aki?
You admire Lina, and she won this tournament like 5-6 years ago. So I was wondering if you watched that match on the TV and if you remember something about that match.
Yeah, I remember watching that match, and it was a like up and down match, and it was very tight in the third set. And I actually remember she like fell and banged her head on the floor. So I remember quite clearly, and it was pretty cool. So I've watched her growing up. So I feel like I have taken some inspiration from her game and her movement. And I like to think I have similar qualities in terms of like being mentally strong and resilient. So yeah, she is definitely someone I've watched growing up.
Okay, last one over here. Yeah.
Your thoughts on the Novak Djokovic situation? Has it been a bit disappointing to see how much focus it's taken away from the first Grand Slam of the year?
I feel like the situation, I feel that it has taken away a little bit from the great tennis that's been happening over this summer in Australia. For example, Andy Murray, I mean, he's in the final tonight, which I think is pretty incredible to see him come back and win and play so well. Definitely rooting for him later on. So I feel like in that way it has been.
Okay, I think we'll switch to online questions now. Thank you.
Our first question, Rob Moore from The Sun.
Hi, Emma.
Hey.
In your new Nike advert that's dropped here in the UK, you sort of poke a bit of fun, really, at those that accused you of being distracted off court. I just wonder how, with your maturity and the fact we're now 5 or 6 months on from the US Open, do you feel better equipped now to deal with everything that comes from being a Grand Slam champion and commercial sponsorship and winning tennis matches?
I think the video speaks for itself, and that's how I feel, and that's it, full stop.
And can I just clarify, you obviously had COVID before Christmas. We saw that result in Sydney. There's no after effects, presumably, of that. It was just a lack of practice, a lack of training, presumably, that result that you had the other week.
Yeah, it was definitely a lack of practice. I think I played maybe like 6, 7, not many hours at all, but I don't know because I wasn't tested physically in that match. The points were over so fast, but yeah, it will be good to keep building and see. I hope not. I'm currently feeling physically good.
Next question, Courtney Newen, WTA.
Hi, Emma. Good to see you. Just a little bit off of that Nike ad question. I apologize for this being a little bit offbeat, but follow me. Has anybody ever told you that your shot production looks very similar to Li Na's, just in the way that you move about the court and forehand and particularly the backhand? And if so, I'm just kind of curious if you think that did you model your shots after her, or is it subliminal, or just random luck?
Yeah, Li Na is definitely someone I've watched growing up, and her footwork especially. I remember watching videos on YouTube and just seeing how she moves. So I would actually practice that myself when I was younger, and maybe subconsciously I feel like that's taken on. But I did as well make a conscious effort to try and move like her. But technically I had great coaches growing up, so that also definitely played a role.
And final question, Willie Weinbaum, ESPN.
Hi, Emma. How would you describe what you think the biggest challenges have been for you, both on and off the court, since winning the U.S. Open?
I would say the biggest challenges of to be patient. You know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so whether that's practice, whether that's off the court, I want to be the best I can all the time, and sometimes it's just not very viable. So I think that's one thing I need to just relax, and as long as the trend is is trending upwards. No matter the small fluctuations, I think that I can be proud, and whatever challenge that is, I'm ready to kind of face it now, I feel.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our press conference with Emma Raducanu.
Thanks.